Order, order, order. Everybody in their seats.
Get in. Oh, sorry. Oh, you saw I signed mine.
All right, we'll call
I don't get one?
Call to order. Call to order. Mr. Bartlett? Here. Mrs. Brown Knight?
Here.
Ms. Gelbaugh?
I was feeling left out, Richard.
Ready to say the Pledge of Allegiance.
What?
Say yes.
Yes.
We're calling the roll. Dr. Lewis?
Here.
Mrs. Rankin?
Here.
Mr. York?
Here.
Did we do the pledge? Did I miss the pledge?
We'll do it for the
Okay, we'll do it.
council meeting.
Do you want to do two
Oh,
pledges?
yeah,
We're gonna
sorry,
do
I
it for
forgot. I
regular
forgot.
council.
Okay, I
Yeah.
forgot it wasn't the regular meeting, excuse me.
All right, Richard is going to make some comments and commentary regarding how we're going to talk about this. You all have, I think you all have a copy of the
Stuff.
capital spending request worksheet. Everybody?
I don't know.
Okay.
Did-
We all
I
good?
don't think I
Richard?
have one.
It came out separately. It was not in the packet.
There
Well,
was
why
a-
didn't I get one?
No,
Email.
Richard sent them out to everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
I don't have a printer.
yeah,
it was
actually
John-
Joni sent
was
it
for
out.
Here, wait,
Joni.
here, I got a second copy. I got a copy.
Good.
Thank you. Tell we're not organized at all today.
Okay, so some of the comments I wanted to make before we go into the decision-making. As you can see at the top, those are kind of the expected carryovers in those two funds. So the permanent improvement is in two separate funds. One is limited, and the other can go for anything capital improvement. And then when you look at the list, anything that is asterisked, those are things that would qualify for the limited. So as we go down through and look at different things, we can do that. The other comment that I want to make, looking at how you guys did this in the past, you guys would look at a list of all these things and say, yeah, let's try to do all of these things, and they would be more than you had money for, anticipating that some of the things just wouldn't get done. And we don't want to do that this year. We only want to approve the amount that fits within our budget, and then whatever we approve is what we have to get done this year. We're not going to, unless there's something unforeseen. Obviously, if it's unforeseen and doesn't get done, that's, different. But whatever we say we're going to do, that's what we're going to do. So keep that in mind. Don't try to approve more than we've got, because we can't do that. And then as you go through, one of the things that is not on your list that, John wanted to add in, he actually talked to me about it and I didn't get it updated, is a utility vehicle. And that's about $15,000. And John, you want to tell them a little bit what that vehicle is?
Yeah, so it's just like a Kubota or the John Deere Gator. The ATV ones they have now, like at Lowe's, is like $16,000. So I was looking at seeing about getting one of those, because this year we have to be awarded for the tree program. So we want to be able to have the volunteers able to go out and water trees as simple as we can. We've got volunteers who are leaving us. Joyce Beck just left, who took care of several of our items. Louise always takes 5-gallon buckets and puts them in the back of her car and stuff. So I talked to the insurance company, and they did not have an issue with the volunteers using the ATV vehicle or pulling, even if the trailer behind it, I can set up a watering cart for them, but they can go out and water, because we'll have 40+ trees they're planting this year that we have to maintain in order to bring it back to the state. Plus we have the trees from last year that we planted, plus we have all the flower pots and the flower beds. Like I said, Louise used to buy some buckets and throw them in her backyard, or back to the car, drive them to the square and drive them around. So looking at this, I thought it would be, the utility vehicle they had was $15,000. It's not that bad. I didn't think it was that bad of a price.
Yeah, I just looked at Home Depot and you can get one for $12,900. So,
Yeah,
that,
so there's-
again,
well,
at
there's a
least you
two-person
understand
and
what.
There's a 4-person.
Yeah, so at least now we understand what it's for. So as you think about that,
Is that similar to the one we have, or is it different?
It's different, because it'd be like what the fire department has, but just a little bit smaller, because it'll have a smaller bed to it. But it's big enough that I can put a water tank in it, or put it on that little trailer, 6-foot trailer or something.
So the one we have will not.
No, because we use that for our plumbing and with the sprinkler systems and stuff like that. So So we're constantly using that one. That was about $22,000. So these little ATVs are a little bit cheaper. They can get up to 4, they can go out and prune their trees, they can have their tools in the back. They can have 4 people out there versus 1 person or 2 person in the car. So same with if Lee were out with Louise or whatever. There can be a shared thing with the volunteers, basically. So help them out a little bit, and help us out.
So we'll have 3 in total then? We have 1 for the fire department, 1 for the service department, and then this additional one for maintaining trees?
Yeah, well, we've already had one
Yeah.
that we use for plowing snow, the sidewalks and stuff like that we got
Years ago.
6, 7 years ago, I guess, and then how old theirs is. But they use theirs for the South 80 or if they have to trail or whatever.
You remember the one that they have, has,
The one for the police and
the
fire.
bed on the back of it is bigger so that you can put
Well,
a,
it's got, so you can put a person on it if you need to.
laying down, you know what I mean, on the
stretcher.
backboard or whatever they call it.
Stuff in the back of that's not feasible.
But it'd be similar to what they have, but in a smaller.
Will this have a tank for the back of it? Yes?
Yeah, I've
So
got a
big
water
ta-
tank
okay.
that we're gonna make and try to retrofit it.
Okay.
And if we need to make a bigger tank so that they can stay out a little longer, I can always kind of put one in on the, maybe a 300-gallon,
Well, it can accommodate that kind of weight? 300 gallon, that's a lot of weight.
well, we may not have to do the whole 300 thing, but I got a 300-gallon tank I can put.
Oh, I got it, okay,
And they
yeah,
can adjust that way as far as what to put in.
okay,
And just,
yeah.
just 2 more comments. One, you see where it says the turnout gear for 18,000 there?
On the fire.
Yeah, I would like to take that off the list if we can, because that is not really a permanent improvement. So these are capital type of expenses, and so capital equipment is like the Gator, not turnout gear. So in my mind, that should be a normal budgeted item within their normal budget in the general fund, not a capital project. So if everybody's okay, I'd like to take that off, and then that just gets budgeted into their normal budget in the general fund under the 120.
Good.
Is that okay?
Yeah. And Richard, didn't they say they were going to talk to the school about paying for part of it since it's for?
No, they were
Emergencies?
talking about, that's not the emergency. This is
Okay,
regular
this is
turnout gear.
regular,
This
okay.
is- So every year they buy 5 things of turnout gear, because they've got, what do you say, 35 or 36
Yeah.
people? And
Yeah.
so, if you got to buy it, it's only lasts or certified for X amount of
Okay.
years. So that's a normal expense to me, and they should just have that in their normal uniform budget, if you will.
Yeah.
And so that should go in the general fund, not a permanent.
What
So-
is, how do you define like where do you draw the line on like something that should be capitalized?
Well, some of it's defined within the tax levy. The one that says all is just a capital, so it has to be something that is permanent, if you will. So when you do a re-roof, that would be a permanent improvement because it's a large expense. So it has to hit that large expense qualifier as far as normal permanent. Some of the things, though, within the limited, it actually specifies what's it allowed for. So it'll say like maintenance of trees and things like that. So anything that fits those descriptions would be allowed because that's what was voted on. And so that's what you can do. If it's not in there, then you can't do that. And that's why it says equipment for fire department, but equipment typically means a truck, jaws of life, something like that, not turnout gear. That's not really equipment. I mean, it's something protective they need, but that's a supply.
Okay.
And so to me, that's a general fund item.
Perfect.
So, and the last thing is, when we're looking at things as a whole, and I talked to Randy about this, like Centennial, you can't just say Centennial and that fits permanent improvements. It's got to be, we got to know essentially what types of permanent improvements are you going to do. So when you request something, if it's not on the list, just make sure that it fits that criteria. And then the last thing I'll say is, I would prefer if we go through and say, what's the most important thing we have to do? And kind of itemize and knock those out. And as you guys go through and say, if we do this, then how much we have left. I got my Excel out, so I'll add it into the column, and then that'll give us, what we have left to approve. And if there's something here that you can say, definitely no, we can't do this year, then we can mark that off the list, and that would make it easy. But I would say let's focus on, the priorities and kind of go through that way. But anyway, Mayor?
I think trying to sort of go through this and talk about in terms of, trying to prioritize, starting, at the top, what is really, important, what should we really need, do and needs to be done, kind of a thing. And if you don't mind, I will lead that off, because I have a few pet things that they're not actually, that's not the correct phrasing. To me, one of the most important things that we need to consider doing is the maintenance items on this building. And I'm talking about the front door, I'm talking about windows, I'm talking about paint in the administrative office, flooring, that kind of stuff. And Rod and I have been working on putting together estimates for these things. And we have a couple of good estimates for the door and the windows. And now, when I say windows, I'm talking about the large window that's over the top of the front door. That window is in exceedingly bad condition. And I'm also talking about the 3 double-hung windows that are in the office on the south side, or the end of the building. The 3 on the front of the building, the one in my office, and then the 2 other, those are new-ish windows like these are in here. Just so we're clear.
So 75 all in for
I
everything.
didn't hear a number, did you?
Well, I can break it down for you, like I said. The door and the windows, and this includes the install, and I'm basically now, we've got a couple of different estimates here, so I've sort of, tried to take, like, I guess what would be considered an estimate of this. The door and the windows are roughly $27,000. And before you sort of say, oh my God, Bill, that's just so much money, let me point out that the front doors on this building are considered commercial-grade doors. They're oversized doors, they're big, heavy doors, and we must, I feel it's vitally important that we try to replicate the look of those doors as closely as we possibly can. We're not gonna get like new aluminum doors or something, modern doors. We're not doing that. Yeah, that would be really bad. The same is true, with the big window over and then the other windows like this.
I'm sorry, if I may, the windows and doors, does that include the big window above?
Yes.
It does?
Yeah, it
Okay.
includes that, yes, yeah. I got a separate bid for that window of, say, roughly around $5,000. That's in the 27. That's in the 27. If you look closely at that window, which a lot of you really don't, but all the grids and the partitioning in the window, the glazing, everything about that window. I mean, it's an original window. It's basically had its life. Now, it's true, in some cases on windows that size, you can reglaze them and so on and so forth and extend their life that way. In terms of the amount of labor and work to do something like that, it's not worth it. The new window would be a double-paned window, would be much more thermally.
So that is a replacement, it's not a repair?
No, it's a replacement, yeah, it's a replacement. And then the other 3 windows in the thing would be the same. Those are the old original, uninsulated double-hung windows we'd be replacing with like these that are a modern insulated window. For paint, carpeting, and, moving a few things around in there to be able to sort of get at this doing, I think I sort of approximated that at 15,000. 15, And that brings us up to 42. And then we have a couple of other things that need to be looked at here in the building. At the moment, that we, as you all know, we had a leak, in the slate part of the roof up here. That needs to be looked at again. It's minor things, sort of minor things like that.
Bill, is that the old part of the roof or the new part?
That's the old part of the roof, the original slate part of the roof. We also are in the process of changing the cleaning contractor for this building. Now, I don't know, I don't want to say too much, but this building needs to be thoroughly cleaned.
But that's not a
That's
capital
capital.
improvement
Yeah,
thing.
that's
Not capital.
No,
That's
I'm
not
talking-
capital.
Well, no, but I mean, that's one of the things I'm including in my list.
What? You're including what in the list? Having janitorial services done?
Well, I mean, that, you're right, that is gonna be a separate thing. I'm talking about sort of, like a deeper clean,
A thorough one-time.
a thorough
One-
one
That's-
time.
that's
That's
an
It's
still-
still
expense.
operation, that's still.
That's
Yeah,
an
that-
operation.
all right,
It's
all
not
right,
one-
well,
qualify
If I
here.
bail
All right.
back on the 15,
back
is
that out.
is the 15,000 for in the offices?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, right.
And then, I'm sorry, it's painting,
Painting,
Carpet.
carpet. I would like to do, I'd like to get into also the ceiling that's in there is in,
Okay.
does that include, does this include a
well,
ceiling?
no, I
It
was,
does, okay.
I was gonna add that in separately.
Okay.
I'm trying to keep it, somewhat separate.
Mayor,
If-
who's in charge of like building out a 10-year? So thank you for doing all of this because I do think, right, you do have to invest in the infrastructure. Who would be in charge ultimately of creating like a 10-year repair and replace plan? So that we kind of know maybe to expend every year what it
Well,
costs to maintain.
I mean, that's a good question. That's a good question because in the past, we've never really actually done that. We've never really done that almost on some things we do, and most of the things we don't. But I would
Okay.
think that would be a duty that Chuck would start to take over.
Okay.
Like assessment,
Well, we need
physical
a
plan and
Well, all our
projection.
buildings need a 10-year
Sure.
repair and replacement, so that we can then budget that allocation every
Exactly.
year
So it's-
appropriately, and the upkeep is happening on a regular basis. And so, I don't know what the lifespan of the windows is, but like, you plan for those things, so
Yeah.
every year we anticipate investing in whatever buildings that this village owns.
Yes.
Okay.
And we had some of those before, because Chief, I know you did them for police and for fire as well, and John, I think you did it for maintenance too,
That
so.
was for remodeling and expanding.
Yeah, but I mean,
Which is
so
what
I think
needs
we've done some of it,
expansion.
we need to get back to that again. I think
Yeah.
there's more, for each of the departments to be able to do some of that stuff.
Yeah, instead of taking a, one-time hit in the head.
Yeah,
like this,
right.
we
No, you
let
can
it
plan
go.
ahead.
We
I
let
totally
it
agree
go,
with
let it
Susan.
go, let it go, yeah.
This building needs, obviously, upgrades. It needs to be
Yeah.
expanded in the worst way, because nobody's got the space that we need.
That's helpful to know, too.
So Bill, I know like the church and the parish center, those are controlled by the Emory Foundation, so I assume they're responsible for the upkeep. Is the boathouse ours?
Yeah, the boathouse is ours.
Okay, so I thought, I just was confirming that.
Anyway, just to round out my list, I'm adding another 10,000, like I said, for the ceiling. We need reducting work in the office space as well. And in that, I'm also including whatever maintenance or work would be done on the roof here.
Okay.
I'm talking about the slate now,
Yeah.
yeah. So that brings that total up, by my math, to around 52.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Well,
Don't swing
No,
the door
no, just,
open.
no, just, because I will
That's
say,
Andy.
Parking lot too.
oh, this parking
Yeah,
lot. Okay.
yeah.
yeah, well, yeah.
I mean, that would
I-
still be admin building, right? The parking lot?
So we're 52, and then what is, how
The
much
the
is
parking lot is 28, right?
28?
Chris did an
This one back
estimate.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not.
I can't tell you what it looks like. I can't even.
Is it on the list? I didn't see.
No, it's not on the list. Well, it is not on the list.
What is
That's
not?
one of those things that I
Parking
think within
behind the
the
building.
maintenance and stuff, when I was just throwing numbers out here, and so we had Chris do a engineer's estimate on what it would cost. Again, these are just things for discussion, so I added it to my list. I just hand wrote it in here because I got the cost from Chris earlier today.
And bear in mind, that would be for 2/3 of the lot behind us. The third that's closest to the pike actually doesn't need to be done. But again, I mean, if you're asking me to prioritize the building first, if we, the parking lot could go another year.
Okay.
Okay. So I know that Bob's been working on scanning and getting rid of documents and.
Yes.
Because there's a ton of stuff in there. I mean, are we at the end of that? Because to me, it makes more sense to get that done, so you know spatially
have,
what
right.
you need to do.
Well, that's a good thing. I mean, we are getting close. He really has been working diligently on, on the amount of paper that we have gotten rid of, not only in there, but in this closet that nobody knows about, that's back off this
Don't
hallway.
open it.
That, some of the remaining stuff could be moved. And then like the one big blueprint file cabinet it sits in the back corner of the office, that's gonna get moved out when he's, well, I don't know how far he is, close he is to the actual scanning thing, but that big scanning machine. As some of you know, and some of you like to point out to me, we do, I believe, we have a $2,000 credit, remaining credit with A351, what's the name of the company? And the one architect that's now a principal in that company, I have worked with her in the past talking about various configurations for the office and things like that. I was going to consult with her on some of this, regarding the office there, reconfiguring it, there's, I don't even know where to start. I mean, there's too much furniture in there, there's too much, computer equipment sitting around that you don't really need. I mean, the way that it's configured is all bad. So I think that a lot could be done in that regard. And I do think that's important stuff to take a look at. But most of the things that I'm talking about doing here are fundamental things, and they've got nothing to do with the arrangement of the office.
Yeah.
So what about painting?
Yeah,
this?
I'd love to paint
Is
the
that-
foyer.
is that
I would
part
love-
of this or not?
Well, yes, I mean, again, that's where I came up with that $15,000 basically
Okay,
for
all right.
paint, yeah. Paint and a few other accessory things, like maybe window treatments, things like that, that would be, done after you would do some painting.
But it probably doesn't make sense to paint, do this, and then come back and do the ceiling later. If we're gonna do,
Well, no, that's, yeah, right, that's why
we're
I'm
gonna do,
throwing it in.
we need to do them both, if we're gonna, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, and reduct. The heating arrangement in that room, given, given the period in which this building was built, none of the exterior walls in this building are insulated, because they're solid masonry walls. Put your hand on them right now, the outside wall, you will feel it's a cold wall. And you need to redirect the heating, more down those walls. I mean, Joni can attest to this. Joni and both Allison sit on outside walls. This time of the year, it's very cold, it's very drafty. Now, it's kind of a minor thing. I'm not talking about new heating facilities. I'm
Yeah.
simply talking about some reducting.
Yeah.
If you're going to do the ceiling, that's your time to do it.
And you built that in?
Well,
It is. I
Good,
built it.
good, that's good.
well, and if you have new windows, that'll help too.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
new windows will help considerably, yes.
Can you go,
good feel
can
for
you
that.
go somewhere else
I don't have a good. feel
for
that.
the couple months? Could you go to the Ferris house while they do this? Have we thought of that?
Well,
Oh, that's a good
yeah,
question.
I haven't started working on that
Okay.
because I know where you're going with that, and
Yeah, you gotta
you're right. I mean, given the volume of stuff that's in that room, yeah, I mean, I don't know how you can ever do anything. But that's an issue that I personally am working with, and I will work that out as how that's gonna happen.
So that's number one.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I'm just saying, this building is the representation, of, the seat of government in this village. I mean, it's representative. Anybody that comes through those front doors, they come in here, they sort of see the condition that we're in. I just think that we have got to spend some money here fixing stuff.
Yeah.
I do have a quick question. Chief Hines, you were saying this is not for tonight, but at some point, do we need to have a discussion about what kind of administrative offices we'll need in the next 10 years? Is that what I'm?
We've had that, that discussion
Oh, it's
in the
already-
34 years I've been here, probably 3 different times.
Okay.
And we've gotten not an inch more in, in the 3. We've had a lot of discussions, we just haven't made any progress. But, and, this building was built when there was basically 1 fireman in the building, 1 policeman, maybe 2 in the daytime hours.
Okay.
1 person in the administrative office. Obviously, in 1960, you could do business that way, but you can't do business that way today.
Okay.
So,
Part
How
of the reason, let me interrupt for 1 second. Part of the reason that discussion gets sidetracked every so often is that, I don't know what it is, every 5 years or something like that, there's always some discussion about another addition to the building.
Right.
If we go out the back for the fire department or, whatever it would be, then of course we could reconfigure, you know, a lot of the police and fire offices downstairs, you'd have more space and so on and so forth. But generally, those discussions come and they go, and then, you know.
Because we're talking millions of dollars there.
Well, we could be. I mean,
So we don't know, but there's not, it hasn't gone so far as designs and
No.
okay, thank you. That's helpful. But right now, okay,
Everybody's cramped, Susan,
Okay.
everybody's cramped. Joni, if you go over there,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
cramped. The fire department's cramped, the police department. I was talking to Rob earlier today about it. Our detective doesn't have an office. We've got a lieutenant, doesn't have an office. Those are just not the ways to do business. And the one office that the one lieutenant does have, it used to be the jail cell, and there's no way of sitting down with an employee to have a confidential conversation or a discipline. You know, it's just, it's not adequate.
thank you.
It's just not.
Okay.
But, again, how
Understood.
do we fix that? But there's been a lot of talk over the
Right.
years and no action. Doesn't cost us anything to talk about it.
Noted, okay.
So we're gonna go to the next stuff then? We're running out of time here, so.
So where are we now on numbers?
Well, we haven't plugged anything in, so,
I-
so starting off, well, the one thing we assumed,
All those in favor?
Meeting adjourned.
so the one thing I assumed was the police car that chief gets
the
every
50?
year.
Okay.
So that 50, but only 20 of it is gonna come out of here, because the other part is gonna come out of his other fund that he can use for that particular year. I think he's got enough money, pending whatever
Yeah, I
the
think
price
just
increases
20.
would be.
I'm sorry,
We
I'm
keep
sorry.
them in there now,
So
and
20.
20.
There's more coming, so.
And did
Yeah.
you put in the 80 that the mayor just?
No, I
Say
did not
80,
plug it in
52.
because nobody.
52, don't bump it up.
If you want to go
80.
80, I'm
No,
happy.
you had 28 for the parking lot.
No,
Well,
that's not on the list.
That's gone.
Well,
We made a decision.
I'm just saying,
Man, you were a sales guy.
Well, I didn't know if you guys had approved the admin building yet. You
No, I don't
guys
think
just
we have.
discussed it, so nothing is
No,
in that
I know.
column.
Haven't-
I just want to see where we are.
So total, if you subtract the 20,000 for the police car, then that gives us a total of 442,000.
Okay.
But the 20, like you laid out here, Richard, the 20 has to come from 4902, the limited one.
Correct, that's coming
So
out of the
there's
limited.
still 400 left in the,
There's still roughly 400 in the regular full permanent, and
Yeah.
there's 42,000 left in the limited.
Okay.
Yeah, now, Richard, let's say the information I got from Chief Bronson today, what if that is accurate? What do we do? I heard today that the price of the police cars are going up $18,000 in 2023.
jeez.
If that be the case, then what do? We're not budgeting for that kind of increase. If the car goes up $18,000, there's no way in the world I can outfit the car in that $50,000 range.
So in that situation, is I would take the balance out of the general fund at that point.
Okay.
You know, if that's where we
Hopefully
get to.
that seems like an awful lot of increase to me.
Yeah, I mean,
We don't have it as a hard
Oh,
number
no.
yet.
No.
Yeah.
No, we
Yeah,
won't
so,
have it. We won't
so
have it until-
when we originally talked, Chief, you said you could probably take 40 of that out of that alcohol fund. I only have 30 because I'm not sure that alcohol fund's gonna have that yet.
That's correct, yeah.
So that would give us 10,000 leeway in that fund, and then the other 8 could come out of the general fund if there's that big of an increase.
Yeah.
So I would still just budget at 20 out of here.
Okay.
And,
That's fine. Yeah, I just want to make it known that if that is the case, we could get we got to come up with more money than what so, okay.
I appreciate the heads up.
All right, and then if we go on our list, there's 150 for swimming pool. I think that we had talked about, Leah, just doing, was it around 20,000 that we were looking at for
Yeah,
the
just-
pool house?
Yeah, just to
20?
do
was
the
that
pool
the
house
15
this
right below
year.
it? There's-
No, that's the boathouse, that's.
Oh, boathouse, got it. Okay, so
so the
20
boathouse isn't part of the pool?
separate.
No, boathouse
Oh, I
is-
have it in there as
yeah,
a-
It's a,
Because boathouse isn't
It's by
recreation.
the, yeah,
that's another structure that's down by.
Down by the,
yeah.
Bell
So I
tower.
think-
So
by
we
the bell tower by the
You can,
creek.
you
Down
can
in
move
Dogwood Park.
that 150 to 20.
Yeah, because we're not going to do the leak this year.
Can I ask, again, this is probably a silly question and me not just understanding. So the levy does not cover recreation.
The limited one.
That's correct. The limited one does not.
The limited one does not, thank you.
No, and it doesn't cover admin either. It doesn't cover admin buildings.
Okay,
So admin, any of the admin stuff would have to come out of the first one, the 4901.
okay, thank you.
So can I ask a quick question too? On the, under the recreation, the fountain repair, are you saying that's 3,000?
Well, I just put in that number. I don't know what it is.
It's 18.
18,000?
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Oh, is that the guy out in Milford that gave it? Is there only one guy that we know of that can do this?
Yep.
John, this is not something you
Oh, no, they're going to put a whole, they have
Bless
to put a whole membrane in the bottom of it. The bottom all leaks.
Oh, jeez.
So the concrete, when you look at the fountain, the concrete on top where they actually put like almost like a platform where you can sit on it, all of the, it's cracked, pieces have fallen out, and then there's leaks in the bottom of it where it's just disintegrated. It's an older fountain, but yeah, it was over 18 to fix it. But that will, I can't remember exactly how long do you remember how long it's supposed to last?
Well,
We have a lot of leaks in this one.
There's a lot of leaks.
all right, Richard, look, it seems like we're moving on here. Did we okay the 52 for the building? Are we gonna do this piecemeal?
I don't know, it's a good question.
Well, I think, Richard, didn't you state you wanted to do a priority list?
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I think that's what you guys need to say. Okay, well, out of this list, what do you guys think is top priority? And let's,
Yeah.
you know.
So I think for the tennis court resurfacing, we collected an extra fee from all the people who joined last year, and I think they're planning to do it again this year
Correct.
to help pay for that resurfacing. So we've
And
made.
based upon the conversations we've had with the cities, I think that needs to be a priority. And to our discussion this afternoon, what that number is, based upon not knowing what kind of support we're gonna get
From the school?
from the school, you know,
If any.
do we say if we don't get support, it doesn't happen? Because if we don't put the full amount in and we don't get the support, then it does not happen, right?
Right.
Because we didn't do anything last year. We put it off last year.
Correct.
Because of that.
Yeah, and that's why I say, I mean, if we're gonna do it, if we're gonna say this is a priority, we're collecting money for it, and we're gonna do it, then let's budget the whole thing. If the school comes and pays half, then we'll carry over that half to next year. I mean,
But that's,
you know, I mean, we'll complete the project, pay the full thing, and then obviously we'll get reimbursed for half of it, and then that half will get carried over, and we'll do something with it next year.
And what do we think the odds are of getting half?
I think it's,
I mean-
right. I think it's appropriate and it's the right thing.
Oh, I agree.
They didn't
I
say
can-
no.
I can tell you our conversations have been, yeah, so I would venture to guess that we would likely get it.
Here, I get this.
Would you concur?
Yes, I would, sir.
So we should budget for the whole thing for now. And if we end up getting half, great.
If
Yeah, I
we
mean, if
don't-
you're gonna do
we
it,
don't
then
do
that's,
it,
that's the only way to guarantee it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I don't
And
wanna
this
put
is-
in.
Randy, this is just for the courts, right?
Correct.
This is just for the courts, it's not all the courts.
Just the upper,
Upper four, not even the practice
not
court,
even exactly.
So is
The
that
lower
130
one
number
that
the
we-
correct?
that we
That's
Wait,
looked
they're
at,
not gonna do the lower
one you
one?
guys use for pickleball.
That would be even more. And so
But they're not in good
they're gonna
shape.
rotate it. Oh, well, they're actually better since they patched them in there. The patches work better on the lower courts than it has in the upper courts.
They did?
I don't know.
Yeah.
And we looked at the patches over there now. There's a couple of patches that could be repatched,
Yeah.
you know, so.
Nobody's voted on it yet.
But it was terrible before, you're right. The bottom was terrible. It was
Yeah.
big cracks this thick.
Correct.
But they patched it over.
Well, how much more would it be to do the,
Well,
Was
I mean,
it a
just,
lot
these are
more?
4 divided by 4, so it's like, what do you got, 35,000 or 30? something, 33,000 each. So
And
two
there's
more,
two
then-
down there.
Yeah, it's another 66,000 or so.
But those two at the bottom,
Oh,
we've talked about a kind of a patch down there.
Yeah, that's what
And-
they
But
were.
eventually, we're gonna get those resurfaced as well.
Correct.
The goal is to get those.
So my hope is this number can include a patch down in those two
Down at the
courts.
two, okay.
You mean the?
Not a full,
The 130, can, okay.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we're gonna get the bids going out, right?
Well, can I just ask a question?
What's that?
please?
Yes, please.
I have a question. So my question is, it's okay, did you want to finish what you're saying? I'm sorry.
Just about the tennis courts. I just need more information from the group.
I guess I'm just curious. Okay, the pool needs a huge investment, and we're losing water every year, and that's costing us, so it's really more than the $150,000. It's 150 plus, we
How
would
much
save
was it?
50 if we did it, right?
No, no.
No.
No, we don't spend that much on water.
We
They-
we
It was,
15.
Like about-
it's like
How much was it?
10,000.
About 15 on water.
So
15
is that,
on water?
so incrementally, let's say 10.
I don't even know that.
And
Yeah, it's
Well,
expensive.
It's,
No, I mean, I'm not saying 15, yeah. Saving 10 is probably pretty aggressive. 2/3?
are there other savings to be had if we did that maintenance on the pool? I'm
Marcy,
just curious, I know, I'm not saying we should push off the tennis, I'm asking the question for the process. More people use the pool than use the tennis.
Agreed.
Yes.
So, I understand we put that off last year, and I'm just putting up for discussion, you know, what do people think about that?
Well, even if you did the major repair on the lines underground,
Uh-huh,
it's
the
still
pool.
not guaranteed you got all the leaks.
well, and that's why I'm opposed to any kind of a patch repair down there.
Yeah, we don't
Yeah,
want to do
the
repair.
big number, the 150, and that's the other thing, guys, the 150, basically, that was last year's estimate, but that was to change out the big loop of pipe. I don't know what it would be now, it could be 180.
So I mean,
But
just
the-
to,
yeah.
just to do 300 feet of 6-inch pipe, just to go in, clean it out, and reseal it was like 52,000 a couple of years ago.
And we
That's
weren't,
not
yeah, we weren't comfortable with that because we didn't know if that
just
would do
takes
it.
That just takes care of the leaks that are underground right there. That's not the gutter leaks or anything else.
Well, yeah, it, we think it takes care of all the leaks underground. See, that's the problem, yeah. Like I
Well,
said,
that's just based on what-
my analogy on that, I mean, that's like repairing a transmission on a 20-year-old car and hoping you can, you know, get a couple more years. It's just foolish money, in my opinion, yeah. But it, I mean, to Marcy's point, I mean, the one thing, we are gonna have to buy water for the pool, for sure, additional water, and, that 150 number, I doubt that's a good number anymore. It could be
Probably
125
agree.
next year.
Well, plus, they have to tear up right outside the kiddie pool. And we've talked about redoing the kiddie pool. To me, it doesn't make any sense to do all that unless we're gonna do the whole thing, and that's another $200,000. So, to me, I like the new fix we got,
Yeah.
because that's running all new pipe up and back. I do like that solution, but the fact that they'll tear up right there and then rebuild it, and then maybe next year we get a new baby pool, because I know that's on our near-term horizon. It doesn't make, to me, it doesn't make sense.
I agree, I appreciate you for explaining that, you know, because there are efficiencies in doing it all at once.
Yeah. Guys, we do need to sort of move along. here,
Okay.
but,
Concourse pergola.
We need to do that.
we need-
That's getting to be a danger.
I thought you were trying to.
Yeah, the Legacy Foundation is working on that, so we've got a couple of bids. It wasn't, just for the wood, I think it was 120.
Yeah, it's an expensive project, it's gonna be expensive. Now, I'm about to get another bid here, right after the holidays, but it's gonna be in that ballpark.
But we don't know, I don't know, based upon what, the research we've done, what to do with the wisteria. Do you cut it back? We don't know the answer to that, because we don't want to lose it.
No.
And we were supposed to get a landscape person out to kind of look at that, so that hasn't happened
No,
yet.
no, I'll follow up with Wendy, I had said I'll do that, and I can ask her that question, so that's an easy thing to figure out.
We don't wanna lose
I
it.
guess while
but-
we're talking about all this stuff, though, what exactly, I mean, this is the fountain, the concourse, to me, are things that are permanent improvements that might fall in the Centennial Fund, because we're enhancing the original. But if
There's,
it's-
the pergola has not been mentioned in any of the grant applications.
Okay,
Was the fountain mentioned in any of them?
Fountain was not mentioned in any of the grant applications.
So when we get to that, will you specify what specific projects you have included in that?
Well, it's the same ones we've talked about from the very beginning. It's the
Refresh us.
Dale Park, Dogwood Park, and Hopkins
It's one
Park.
in the room next door. You just go look at the,
Yeah, it's been- it's been out for
We
6
were
months.
just in there for
Lunchtime.
lunch.
We're specifically talking about the 50.
Well, the 50,000 is, and Rich, is flexible. And, you know, we
But you're-
clearly want to have skin in the game as a village when we're asking for funding.
but it's not gonna be spent this year probably, right?
2023, I think it'll be spent.
Oh, yeah.
This will be spent.
Yeah, but I thought we have the thing where unless we know it's gonna get spent and on what, are we,
We
you know, we
can't.
can't, we're not doing this placeholder thing.
Yeah, it has to be
If I'm
spent on
correct, if
capital.
I'm getting this.
It has to be spent on capital.
Well, we could, when I looked at it, we could move the streetlights and the fire hydrants up into that one. But my numbers were a little bit different.
Move the streetlights
I wasn't sure the exact.
into
I
the
just had it plugged
Centennial
in.
Committee, Randy?
This was
I
streetlights,
think they already had mentioned that in,
Exactly.
and that's fire hydrants.
as part of the
And
Centennial.
that includes converting to LED,
Oh.
all of them.
Does that also include,
The globes too?
What
No,
you're talking
it's not
about,
close.
Not
does
globes,
that
okay.
also include the electrification of the median?
No, that's different. That's all, that's a different entry. So there's 110 historic streetlights. 13 have been painted, an additional 4 have been adopted. So 93 remain to be painted. So it's $250 to paint, so that's $23,250 to paint the remaining. To convert to LED is about $100 each, so that's $111,000, but we save about $4,000 a year in electricity. So all in, if we wanted to get them all done, it'd be $34,250.
So 35.
Now, on the fire hydrants, there's 165. We painted 16 of them with highway funds. That leaves 149. Those are $50 each. And that's with John and the fire department using.
Doing the,
So that's $7,450, so $7,500.
75.
7,500?
Correct.
Got it.
Does that include the rental of the equipment?
It does not.
well, the big bush hog thing out there, that's, we get that for free, don't we? We just need,
They borrow it?
Yeah.
No, it was
They-
just getting, I think,
we need the Bobcat to
Yeah,
hook it to.
Dan Copeland has it.
Okay.
So,
So that, in my view, those two could be put as Centennial. Those could be.
so you're talking about moving 25 and 15
Yeah, so
into
this
the
is gone,
Centennial Committee?
this is gone, and this is gone, and that becomes this.
25 and the 15.
Just nix
Okay,
the
so that puts-
Centennial line item, but then keep the other 3.
So that puts us at 40 in the Centennial Committee line items.
42.5, right?
And then if you look below that on the Dogwood Park maintenance and the capital improvements, if you think about these projects getting started in 2023, 2024, we clearly, long-term, we need to do that, but for these couple of years, we do not.
Yeah.
So those can be gone as well. So the 10,000 for Dogwood and the 50,000 for park capital improvements can be gone.
Okay?
And what's the 50 for the Centennial Committee?
So that,
That's what we're just,
That's the
That's what we're-
streetlights and,
That's what we're specifying. It's gonna-
okay.
So, in the
40
street,
of it's gonna go to the streetlights
and
and
the
the fire.
streetlights
hydrant.
can
Okay.
be, Richard, streetlights can be done under the limited fund then too, right?
Correct.
oh,
But not
Yes.
the-
That's
Not the
right.
fire, not the high fire hydrant though.
I don't think the fire hydrants are listed in that.
But in terms of, I don't know if it matters, but I would recommend that in terms of how this is reflected in minutes or whatever, we're nixing the Centennial Fund, but keeping, because that's just,
but I would like those two to be moved into the
Right.
Centennial
right, so
Fund.
we're
no,
adding
but-
detail, we're
but
defining.
Right.
but in terms of us saying this is, we are appropriating properly, I would recommend we take out the Centennial Fund, because that's some general fund, and we keep the things that you just said in lieu of that.
Shoot.
But I'd like to be able to keep,
He
yeah.
wants to say we have skin in the game on application.
thing to the Centennial Fund.
Is it-
No,
Richard,
totally,
does
are
it
we
matter
allowed
how
to,
we do
yeah,
it?
Richard, doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that's the only reason I'm saying,
No,
it
this
doesn't
is
matter.
internal.
Because when
this
we
an
spoke
internal
today, he says,
budget?
Randy, I just need detail for this, and that's
Yeah.
what we provided.
Right.
Okay, good, then we're good.
Okay.
So would it be a heading of Centennial Committee underneath it, specifically line items, street light painting and
Yeah.
fire?
Perfect.
Okay.
And what was the total then?
It's 7.5 you said was gonna be under
It's close to
4901, and 35 is gonna be under 4902, right?
Yeah, I mean, are you guys approving that then?
Well, just put it in there for now, yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the number for the Centennial Committee?
42.5 total.
What is our total and how much are we over right now?
We're under.
Well, he's only adding.
Nothing. We haven't
He didn't
spent hardly
put these,
anything.
last year we put these in and then
And then we pulled them back out.
yeah.
Yeah. So, well, the total's at the bottom, so if you look at the one
Right.
column,
Right.
like the total requested was like 800 something on yours. On mine, we're down to like 705.
That's the total.
So
The
you
total.
still got some items in there we haven't discussed.
Correct.
Oh,
Oh, heck
Lot of
yeah.
items, yeah.
A lot of items.
Yeah.
Well, can we go
Because
ahead
we
and
haven't
put- can
moved
we
anything
put-
over to a fund yet.
Yeah, can we do the ones we've talked about so far? So Bill's got the 52,000 we move over, and then Randy's Centennial Committee, and then
The
and
Tennis
was
court
that's
resurfacing.
42.5?
Wait, hold on.
So the boathouse, the bathhouse, whatever you
The
want to call it.
20,000 for
For
the
the bath.
pool instead of 150.
Right.
Okay.
I'm so confused. How does that work? So we're agreeing to do what with all of those?
That we're adding them to this column to say, okay, what if we went ahead and
Just to
funded
get
those?
a idea.
Yeah,
So
so we're
none of
gonna
this is
do the
approved.
130 for the
Right.
surfacing.
So we're not voting on it yet?
No, we're
No.
not voting on it.
Okay, thank you.
We're just helping to see where does that put us then?
Totally get that. Thank you.
Okay, well,
And you said the boathouse too?
On the, no, wait a minute.
Bath,
Well-
call it the bath, really, it's
It's the bath.
Oh,
It's
bath.
not the
That's
boathouse.
pool.
It's
Oh,
the,
yeah.
it's the pool bath, not
Yeah,
the
that's
boathouse.
And that's,
Yes,
it
make
was
sure you
20?
call it a
That was
bathhouse,
20K.
Richard.
And then,
Yes.
Oh, so the bathhouse was the 20,000?
Yeah.
Yes, it's the pool,
It's the pool
Okay.
bathhouse.
yeah.
And then
You don't have to call
So
it a
we're not
bath.
gonna do anything on water?
I really wish we could avoid
It's got
that.
that.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's already,
Pool house. So we're not doing anything on water at all?
No.
can,
The-
Anything, what'd you say, anything on, on water, yeah.
And you've
okay.
got the
Pipes.
20 for the Explorer, right?
Well,
We
didn't
also
put-
discussed-
we didn't put that
we
in.
also currently discussed, I'm calling it the Gator, the 12-9 Gator for the trees.
Discussed. but
Utility
didn't-
what?
vehicle, you mean?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
utility vehicle?
Oh,
We discussed it, I'm not, I'm
yeah,
just-
we're not, haven't gotten to.
Okay.
So can I ask a question about the parking lot school church? Are we talking about the parking lot on Waldorf?
Correct.
They're
Yes.
paying for part of it. They're going to pay for part
We
of
have
it.
not had that discussion yet.
Oh, I
Who's
thought
they?
we
When you
did
say they,
already.
Which they?
Well, it
We-
started,
Talking
but
that they should
it
be
was
paying half
between
of it.
Emory, them and us.
Yeah.
and That kind of broke down. We
Okay.
can revisit that.
Okay.
I think it's worthwhile.
Yeah, but didn't,
In-
Susan
in
say
the-
that she
In the
had-
agreement, it was in the agreement is that they would share maintenance.
yeah,
But I don't know if there's
It-
anything in that agreement concerning capital like this. So that's a discussion we'd have to have.
okay,
And I'm not at it yet.
okay.
Okay, so just as an update on numbers, so nothing's been approved, but for the police car, that's 20, the streetlight painting, 35, and this is for the limited, that is a total of 55 for that fund, leaving 7.5 left in that fund. In the other one, I've got the 20,000 for boathouse or bathhouse repair, 7.5 for the fire hydrant, 27 for the front door and windows of this building, 10,000 for the, this building roof and ceiling, 15,000 for this building for repairs, remodeling, for a total of 79, leaving 320 left in that fund.
Wait, you didn't put the tennis court resurfacing in?
I did not put that in there yet. So if we add that,
We're talking about, and the number on that is the 130?
130, so that would add 209, leaving 190.4 in that one.
Okay.
I haven't put in the concourse pergola, obviously, in there either.
And what about the electrification for the squares?
Well, I haven't had that because we haven't actually got any of those discussions, you know, so.
Okay. Well, and then the fountain repair, obviously, is not in there either.
No, but you need to,
And what about the,
I would, actually, fountain repair, I'd put it at about 20, because I know it was over 18.
and then, I'm not clear, the leaf machine?
Yes, the leaf machines are getting older, so we're gonna start setting aside so much money per year to help.
To help.
Offset the cost are about $68,000 to $87,000
What's gateway signage?
So, right now you have it at 85?
Yeah.
Well, that's the cost of.
That's the
doing it.
cost to purchase one.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so is it setting us, are you wanting to set aside, or do we need to purchase one?
Well, we're eventually going to. If we can do it this year, great. Otherwise, we put money aside and start building to get a new one next year or something.
Okay.
Say half this year, half next year, and get a new one. That way we've got one good one and one backup then as they start.
Okay.
Because like I said, they're over 23 years old, so eventually parts are
Oh, wow. That's a,
hard to get.
it's an old leaf machine.
Richard, did we put the 15 in there for the utility vehicle?
No, I have not. I didn't, I can, if we put that in there,
So you're
May I-
at 190.
Well, do we want to put that in there?
well, we haven't approved any of this. It's just
Right.
what do you want to see? What numbers are you wanting to see at this point? So if I add it into our total with all the ones we, the fire hydrant painting, tennis courts, front doors, windows, ceiling, office remodeling, that's 224 and a half, 0.5, and leaving 175 in that fund.
And is that, I'm sorry, is the fountain in that?
The fountain is not.
It's not.
You want the
And
fountain in there?
the-
To see what
Anything
that
for the
would do?
truck's not there and the Kubota's not there.
Correct.
Well,
No, we
the,
just did
the,
it.
the utility vehicle, I did add in there.
That's in there, okay.
Yeah.
The electrification's
That's what I
not
just
there.
was asking.
Electrification's
Not
not there.
there.
No,
And nor is the leaf blower.
no.
But to John's point, you could always put half in this year and half in next year, and then purchase it next year,
Yeah.
so.
So.
Just if we do that, we need to, we'll reserve that money, but then next year, that's got to be on there. There's no
No
not
getting
approving
around
it
it.
at that point, because we're reserving that money specifically for that.
Okay.
So why don't we add the fountain for 20, the electrification for 10,
The leaf blower, half the leaf blower?
and what's?
Yeah, do the half the leaf blower.
For 40,
40, 40?
42 point,
Or
seven-
just
42
42.5,
yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that takes us 297, leaving 1029.
So we still got 100.
Well, you sure that's not 10 grand to put that electric?
no, I am not. I was just about to ask. I mean,
Can we,
you
So
know,
do we really think that pergola, the bid I got was 120?
Well,
For the wood?
Yeah,
For the
just-
pergola?
It's installed, it was Vineyard Construction.
Can I ask a
And I'll tell you, the
question?
reason I got it is because we were gonna go out and look for grants to pay for it. That's why we did it.
But is that going to include, and this is just a question, so when you put the pergola in, we were planning on putting benches and things in too. Is it just the pergola?
Just the pergola. Just
Just the pergola.
to tear down, get rid of the existing material and put new material up. And this
Okay.
is just treated. This was not cedar. Cedar was 220,000,
Really?
because you can't get it.
Yeah.
It's really tough to get. And I want to know if that's safe for carpenter bees, because that's what's killing it.
no, treated is not. Carpenter bees will eat treated. I know for a fact.
Yeah. They eat my fence.
But they do make another synthetic that could be used, and that's,
Yeah, that's probably,
yeah. Yeah, I know, but it's, it might have.
But it sounds like we need to do some more research before we know exactly what we're gonna do with that, right?
Yeah, and here's the other thing too. I mean, I know John's not gonna like this, but there's a couple of different options in terms of, our guys could tear the damn thing down, or save money that way. So, and I'm on the cusp of getting another bid from another craftsman to do this, so we don't really have a firm number here. But I mean, it's not gonna be less than 120.
Yeah.
And I'm probably asking a terrible question, but is tearing the thing down and not replacing it not an option?
You mean tearing it down and, and just leaving, oof, what about that? Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I figured,
Good luck living in Milford.
I figured,
Yeah.
yes, wanted to know.
But
People may come after you.
Might as well call a realtor now.
I mean, that's,
They have
So we got
that's where
102
everybody
left,
goes for
and
prom
we've given
pictures.
half.
Yeah,
except
and they go for
homecoming.
homecoming.
I mean,
Just
Yeah,
wait
what do
till
we
your
got?
daughter is
About
in
a
high school.
gazebo.
Okay, so,
All right, rein it in, guys.
Boathouse is not,
Look at the look.
boathouse hasn't been
Gazebo's
touched.
a lot cheaper, I'm just saying.
Randy, I was
How
gonna
bad
hold
is the
that one
boathouse?
back because.
Oh, I'm with you, I
Yeah.
agree.
how bad is the
I just wanna
boathouse?
figure out how we get the pergola too.
Well, you may have to do it over 2 years as well, just like we're doing if we do the leaf machine, you know? Set aside part of it this year and the rest of it next year. And in the interim,
Yeah,
develop a
get-
plan.
get-
Let's get a really concrete plan, because it sounds like we've got a lot of ideas, but we don't have a plan.
What happens if you get a grant for the whole
Well,
thing?
yeah,
and-
maybe,
or from
I mean, we
59?
could try.
why don't we budget 100,000?
Okay, and then we'll try and get
And if
grants.
we get $50,000 grant, we're done.
Okay.
And I could say in the grant applications that we've got the commitment for it.
Yeah, okay.
What do you think? Does that sound like a
Yeah, I
solid
mean-
plan?
But if we do that though, then we're on the hook for the
Well, but you can always
50
cancel it.
following.
You can always cancel it. I mean, right, Richard? You
What's
could
that?
cancel the project if you wanted to.
yeah, it would carry over to next year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but then if you've got a grant and pay for the whole thing with a grant, then you could cancel the project, right? You and I talked about that. Eventually, you don't have to use it, you know, you can cancel a project.
It's a
Right.
lot of work.
What's happening today that all those people?
I like the idea of it set aside and protected.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
So if we put 100, I think we're done. I think we did good.
Wait, one thing.
Oh, yeah, because Randy got everything Randy wanted.
For safety's
What?
sake, for safety's
What?
sake,
What?
we need to bump that electrification number.
I
Oh,
know.
it's
I think
not,
we should go
Because
15.
Randy's had all his stuff.
But then that's not gonna leave us enough for,
Well, just
how much can we
do
bump it?
half the pergola. Do whatever, 65 or 70. You don't have to spend it all either, you know?
how about 80,000 to the pergola? That leaves us some cushion.
Well, leave me enough that I gotta bump that. I gotta bump that electrification.
so
thing
if we
by
bump
5.
the electrification up to 15, add 80 for the pergola, that leaves us 17.9 in that fund,
Let's
7
just
and a
leave it
half.
there.
Leave it.
And
All
then
right, yeah,
that,
just like
Leave
call
it.
that.
Leave it.
Yeah.
But what if I get,
No.
so.
No, bang the gavel.
I will say this, though. If he gets a grant, then, and the total cost is 120, at that point, we will have to send something to the county auditor to increase our certificate for that amount, because we have to budget the whole amount at that point. But this at least reserves our portion of it in there.
And we didn't also include, this is not the bathhouse, this is the boathouse. We didn't
No,
include.
that's
No, the
bathhouse
boathouse we're
is
not
in,
doing.
The boathouse is not.
House is not, because that's a, I have
That's a
to
wish,
research
that's a
that.
dream.
The whole
Can
nother-
that
yeah,
be
you gotta have
pushed
a whole
off a
plan.
year? I mean, how bad is it?
Well, according to John, I ask him about every few months, you know, are we showing signs of additional leakage? Apparently, we're not at the moment, correct? Okay, not at the moment, but it is one of those things that we know that in the past it has leaked and we've had problems down there. But I need more time to basically run that down. That's how that's gonna be fixed. Just sourcing the stone is
Thank
is an
you.
issue.
Can't we use some of the stone from the church?
Possibly, yes.
Why don't we have Chuck help us with that? It'd be a good project for Chuck to do.
He will. Okay, are we gonna,
Let's check the
are we all
roof or
agree here, we're
building
gonna take a
design.
vote on this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Richard, can you read off for us what's
Thank you.
in there, please?
Yep, okay, so for the limited fund, we've got 20,000 for the Ford Explorer for the police car, and 35 for the street light painting and upgrade on the LED, for a total of 55 in that fund, and that's the limited fund. In the 4901 permanent improvement, which we've got the utility vehicle for 15. We're reserving 42.5 for the leaf machine this year, and then the other half for next year, which it'll be then purchased next year, John. So we'll need to get quotes on that purchase and how long it's gonna take and things like that. We've got the bathhouse for 20. We've got the fire hydrant painting for 7.5. We've got the tennis court resurfacing for 130, the concourse pergola for 80, the electricity to the median for 15, the fountain repair for 20, the admin building doors and windows for 27, the admin building roof and ceiling repairs for 10, and the rest of the office remodeling, painting of 15.
15.
Total should be 382.0.
And you'll send that to me.
Yeah, I'll send this.
Can I just, a point of clarification, so we had 55K in limited, and I thought
Right.
we had 42K available in limited, is that,
So there's 7.5 left, correct.
Buffer.
And there's 17.9 left in the other one.
okay, thank you,
So a total of 25.4 left.
okay, thank you.
Are we going to make a motion and vote this?
Yeah, we should vote on this.
Yes.
I move that we accept the capital improvement budget as laid out by Richard,
Second,
And council.
Well,
based upon our
He
recommendations.
just
summarized
reviewed it
by
for us.
Richard.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, did I have a second? Do I have a
I
second?
second.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Bartlett.
Aye.
Mrs. Brown Knight.
Aye.
Ms. Gelbaugh.
Aye.
Dr. Lewis.
Aye.
Mrs. Rankin.
Aye.
All right, Mr. York.
Aye.
All right, that's good. We're done. All right, this meeting is adjourned. I'm going to call a 5-minute recess.
Thank you.
5-minute recess.